Today we're working with our friends at B&B Sports and RV in beautiful Hutchinson, Minnesota. Hi folks, I'm Nate with Two Guys in a Ride, and today I'm out here at B&B Sports and RV, and I'm here with Jeremy, and we're in beautiful Hutchinson, Minnesota. Jeremy, thanks for having us again.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for coming to do it again.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was really excited when I was checking out the website to see the pontoon that we're going to do today. So what is it that we have behind us?
So we have a 2023 Montego Bay. It is a 8520, so 85 meaning 8.5 feet wide, 20 feet, or the 20 meaning it's 20 feet long.
Okay.
Deluxe 2H pontoon. So deluxe meaning it is their high-end pontoon, and the 2H means that it has 2 Helm chairs.
Okay. All right. So before we dig into the actual pontoon, tell us a little bit about, where the boat's manufactured, a little bit about the company.
Sure. They're built out of Wisconsin. They're manufactured by a company called Northport Marine, who actually owns Miracraft boats. So they build Miracraft boats and Montego Bay pontoons right out of Wisconsin. The pontoon side, they only build, around 300 pontoons a year. So kind of cool, personalized a little bit, just a smaller company, and they like smaller dealers.
Okay.
So.
While we're in the front here, let's talk about some of the things, because this has not only got, your standard navigation lights, which are required, but it also has docking lights.
It does, yep. So in their pontoons, they offer a few options. There are things on Montego Bay pontoons that are options, but B&B Sports always puts them on all of the pontoons that we order. They're things that we've found as a dealer that all of our customers just want. Okay. So the navigation lights, the red and green lights on each side, that's standard Coast Guard regulated. That needs to be on them. But we also add the docking lights. So they're LED docking lights. They have one light on each side of the gate in the front. And that LED, it's LED, and it does have a shine forward, and it does shine off to the side.
That's what I was noticing. I mean, you're going to get a nice forward for looking at your lift, and then a side for your dock, no matter which side you're on.
Yeah, they are actually a metal-faced light. So there's lots of companies that build lights. Same thing with navigation lights. Okay. Montego Bay takes the time and spends the little bit extra to put in a quality light with a metal fixture, quality light with a metal fixture. It just, so if you happen to bump it or kick it, it's strong.
It's strong. All right. It is a pontoon, not a tritoon.
Correct. Yep.
And it's available as only a pontoon, I think, or is it available as a tritoon as well?
So in their 20-foot models, they don't offer the third tube. So we call them a twin tube or a tritoon.
Okay.
And in the tritoon, they do also offer what's called a sport tube. Okay. So twin tube meaning 2 tubes, a sport tune meaning 3 tubes, but the center tube does not run all the way to the tail. Okay. So it's what they call a 3/4 tube. Okay. And then the transom is separate, and we'll go through the transom side of that later, but this true tritoon, that third tube goes all the way to the back, and that's actually what the engine hangs on, is the third tube.
Okay. The flooring here.
Yep, this is I use the term seagrass. That's kind of an industry word that's used. Seagrass is probably a brand name, so I apologize if I'm using their name incorrectly, but it's a PVC based product. Okay. That PVC plastic made, and it's a weave. So the material itself is waterproof. Okay. Underneath that material is a foam. So if you're pressing on it or walking on it, you can kind of feel that foam underneath. Montego Bay uses these little inserts which actually raise the railing just a little bit, so that there is areas for the water to escape from the inside of the pontoon.
Now, underneath all that is marine grade plywood, I believe?
It's a marine grade 3/4 inch plywood floor. And then it's a tongue and groove material, so they're not butting the materials together. The benefit there is because the water comes off of the tube, it actually splashes the underside of the pontoon. And if they don't use a tongue and groove material, water will seep its way between those two pieces of plywood and create a wet location between the floor, the flooring material, and the plywood. Okay. So
now, what about the actual understructure that goes in the aluminum structure?
It's a great question. There is lots of variations of how structures of pontoons are built. So with the structure on a Montego Bay, obviously welded aluminum, our tubes are 0.08 aluminum thickness. They use a 5052 marine grade aluminum, stainless steel fasteners, stainless steel hardware, that sort of stuff. But the actual backbone, let's call it, of it is a C channel. Some customers or some people will call it an E channel. And to me, it looks like this. So it comes up. And around. Some companies use an I-beam, okay? So whenever you're looking at a pontoon, you really need to pay attention to that, okay? If they don't use a C channel, an E channel, or an I-beam, the pontoons twist, okay? And when they do that, what happens is they pull the seats apart, the railings pull apart, the tin comes away from the railing, the gates don't fit right. You'll see separation in the floor.
Lots of issues. Yeah.
They use aluminum gunnels. They use cast corners. So you don't see plastic. You know, their structure is very well built for longevity. That's what they're looking at in their pontoons. So
solid underpinnings.
Yeah. Very solid.
To build a pontoon on.
Correct.
Okay. The holes in the front. What are these for storage or?
Well, it can be used for many things. A lot of times we see it where people will use a scissors type pontoon trailer, and you do need to tie the pontoon off when it's on a trailer. Some people use those for tying them to shore.
I use mine for an anchor.
You can do that. On Montego Bay, I order all of ours with the flip up stainless steel cleats. The benefit there is we can fold them down and somebody can't catch their toes or something on them. This is one of those option pieces we were talking about earlier that, you know, we put on because we think it's necessary. All
right. Well, let's take a walk down the side. And talk about a few things there, and then we'll head to the back.
You got it. Awesome.
Coming down the side, let's talk about the tubes.
Sure. So in the front of the tubes, they weld in and bend a piece. It's a skirting so that as it goes through the water, it pushes the water up and away. They weld a separate nose cone into the actual tubes. The tubes are 25-inch diameter tubes. And then as they go down the side of the tube, they put baffles in them. The baffles are for added flotation. A lot of times you can't see it on the outside, but they're set in baffles as they build the tube. They seam it into the middle, so front and a rear section that are seamed. The other thing that Montego Bay does is they put in this finishing plate. The cool part about that is you don't see all the structure. It makes it more of a clean look. It also hides all the cabling, you know, because especially on the driver's side of a pontoon, because the helm's over here, all the cabling goes down and just doesn't make them look complete. You know, they look really nice with that finished plate
that finished look.
So, and they use rivets to rivet that stuff into place. But, and then like the railings, you know, they use a high quality, thick tubed railing, and they're extruded aluminum. The benefit in the extruded is it creates strength. You know, each of the little lines in it creates strength in it. And then they use a thicker aluminum paneling in the back. And Montego Bay does offer a solid color like this, or you can do a bottom base color, and then from this rail to the top you can counter the color. You know, in a maroon boat you could use black or champagne or you know, whatever you wanted to on the top.
So coming around the back, I do like the fact that there's a bit of a platform back here. I mean, it's just nice to have that little bit of space. I do like how the corners cut, gives you a little bit more room coming out towards the ladder. Which does fold down.
That's actually a neat feature with them. The ladders are big, you know, and they actually put this, and this is one of those things with Montego Bay that some of their attention to detail pieces, but they put this beautiful aluminum ladder on it. And we've all been on pontoons before, and you're up here because you came out of the water. And then you got to turn around and go, well, how am I going to get down there to open, you know, to pull up my ladder, right? Well, Montego Bay was smart enough to put in just a thin piece of nylon rope, and you can actually grab a hold of it, flip it up. They put a snap in it, so now that snap holds the ladder up. They did even put a little rubber bumper in it so that it doesn't rattle.
On things.
Small little, you know, detail pieces, nice, but though, very strong.
Okay, so obviously we see some of the cabling coming back here. Or is this cabling? Or is this?
It's actually the cabling. So the let's call it rigging cables, you know, throttle and shift cable and the steering cables. They come from the factory. We order them with the pre-rig, and then we actually install the engines.
Okay.
And they're, I call it a bullet, but they're transom. They're an all aluminum transom. They're welded inside and out. They actually allow a 27-gallon fuel tank that fits right inside of the transom well.
Okay.
Makes it easy for putting fuel in it.
Yeah.
Plus what you were talking about before with the platform.
Yeah, having that space, because old, you know, I'm used to older pontoons, but it's taken up by your battery on one side, your fuel tanks on the other, and then the engine. There is no room, so that is really nice.
Again, another small little attention to detail thing. They're just little things that I always notice, but they even snake skin all the cables so that it looks complete and finished, professional. I don't know what the right term is for that, but yeah, they do that. When they package them for delivery, you can see that they put foam around them so that everything stays protected. It's just a
Attention to
testament.
detail matters.
Yep. And then they also do hooks that go directly through the transom, and those hooks you can hook a ski rope to if you wanted to pull a tube or tie an anchor to it, or however you wanted to do it, but that comes right from the factory with those in it.
Let's talk about engines, because there are a few different things.
There are, yep. This particular pontoon in a 20-foot can come with a maximum horsepower of 90.
Okay.
So you have a wide variety, you know, 25 to 90 horse motor that you can have installed. We typically install a lot of that 40, 50, 60 horse engine line, because in a 20-foot pontoon, that's about what people are looking for. So with that engine, you know, grouping of 40, 50, 60, we actually have this particular unit on our website priced with a 60 horse and or a 90 horse, whichever one you want. Happens to be a couple of engines that I have, and obviously price changes between a 60 and a 90.
Right.
And we're a Mercury dealer.
But there are other sizes you could get, is the point, right?
Yep.
So on the website, and the link for the website is in our description below the video, you can price it that way, and but you have other options if you want.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, I like the fact that they have the fuel tank right back there, and it's off the back of the pontoon, or not underneath it, you know, like under there.
Yep.
Okay, I do notice, although this is like a leisure cruise right now set up, you do have mounts below.
Yep, and they're used for a couple of different points. They can be for transducers, for a depth finder, fish finder. On some of their fishing models, on this side, they actually install a pump. Okay. And that pump would be a live well pump or a freshwater pump or something. Yeah.
Okay, so all those options are there. You have the mounts for them and everything.
Yes.
Okay, I think it's time we step inside.
That sounds great.
This is a nice interior. It just looks nice, right?
Yeah.
You walk in.
They do a good job. They use a high quality vinyl, and their foam is actually like a dual core foam. So they have a softer foam on the top, and then they have a little bit more dense foam underneath. It just helps so that as you're sitting on the seat for longer periods of time, that you don't just squash it all the way down.
Yeah.
And, you know, then you don't have any foam. But I mean, their attention to detail with some of it, their sewing lines and things like that.
Yeah, little patterns right in here in the middle.
Yep. They call that a diamond pattern, and then one of the things that caught me right away when we started with Montego Bay is they took the time to put their cup holders and they buried them into the seat. It sounds funny, but what's cool about that is they're tucked behind the seat. They're not out in the open for somebody to bump. Okay. The other thing that people always said was, well, geez, that's going to be hard to sit in front of that. And I've said to many people, just sit down and put your back here. And you know what's funny? You don't even know that they're there.
No.
You know, you don't feel them. It doesn't affect how you sit. But yet your drinks and cans and whatever,
they're not occupying an area of the seat that you could use as
right. It keeps it more open. Yep. And then their seats actually, they all flip to the front. They use a plastic seat base. So the benefit with the plastic seat base is we don't have wood that we're worried about rotting and things like that. And they actually take the time and sew and foam the outside of the box. So when you look at the outside of their boxes, they look finished. Okay. And a lot of people in pontoons are wearing flip-flops and shorts because it's nice out, you know. And when you have those plastic boxes and that plastic is rough and you know you're sitting and all of a sudden your feet rub against it, you know, it doesn't irritate your skin or anything, that foam backed vinyl covering, it just looks awesome and finished, and they just do a good job with it.
I'm assuming that on this side is just a replica of
It is, yep, with just a little bit larger seat here, and that corner is about the same size as this corner.
Right, it goes back a little bit farther to the helm.
Yep, and then they put a lounge back on it, or a chaise as some people call it, so that you can sit facing forward with your back against the helm.
Yeah,
and tiny little things like they sewed in the Montego Bay logo into the fabric. Back behind our feet here, you'll notice they put speakers on each side. Along with the speakers, on the back side of the speakers, they're actually lights.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you turn the radio on, you can actually turn the lighted speakers on. So in that blue, yeah, it is really cool. And they do an interior lighting package also. It might be hard to see, but underneath each of these, there are lights.
Yep, right under here.
Yep, and those array onto the floor, and those are blue also. So at night, it's just like a blue glow inside.
Yeah, and that's just nice for seeing where you're going too.
Yeah.
I mean, as you're walking around, right?
Yep. So, and then, their helm is actually a fiberglass molded helm. They put their Montego Bay logo onto the side. And then actually, when you turn the interior lights on, there's actually a light behind the Montego Bay logo. It's kind of cool. This stainless steel piece in the front here is actually the horn.
Okay.
And then they use stainless steel cup holders. One of the other options that we had talked about earlier, the standard door in the side of the helm is actually plastic. And this is one of those things where, B&B pays attention to how they look inside, but we order all of ours with the stainless steel door. This is actually a metal stainless steel door, okay?
Wow.
The cool part about that is it gives it a little bit more of a ritzy look.
Yep.
Plus, if you bump it or kick it, it's very strong.
Let's talk about this door right here.
Sure. So they have 3 exit doors on the Pontoon, out the front here, and then out the side here, and they use a spin latch or twist latch on them. Along with that, on each of their door openings, they put a very heavy cast.
That's a thick
stainless
plate.
Yeah, I call them gussets.
Okay.
The benefit there is it makes their railing super
really
strong. And they put the little rubber bumpers so that when the door opens, that it stops it.
And I'll point out that there's one on the front.
There's actually gussets on each side.
Oh, it's on each side.
Yeah, so you can see that they put them, and then they put a rubber door bumper here, so when the door opens, that it doesn't smash into their seat.
That makes sense. All right, well, let's step to the back.
You got it.
Back here, first thing I know, of course, you've got cup holders right off to the side.
Yep. Again, they did stainless steel, and they padded and vinyled the outside of that, so again, it looks complete. And then they did just put a little pouch in there in the front if you wanted to. Just
for storage.
Yeah, if you're bringing the newspaper and you're going to read the newspaper or something, you got a nice place for it to go. So, and then obviously you can see the
captain's chairs. Yeah, so these are identical in function.
Yep, they are. They are both on a slider. So that they can go forward and back. And then each of the chairs have a reclining feature. So you lift up here, you push back. They actually recline a long ways. So you can push the seat back and lounge quite a ways, or stand straight up. The other thing is the armrests on them are, I don't know what the right term is.
Self-leveling?
Yeah, smart arms, I don't know. So as you lean back, they actually go down so that your arms aren't pulled right up into your face.
They're not locked into position. They also have storage, pocket storage on the back, which is nice.
And then driver's seat does the exact same thing. And then behind us, again, they just have their L-shaped seating, which there is storage under each one of these that tip forward just like the front.
This is storage again. Yep. But this one is for...
This one they put the battery in, and the battery just for the engine, power, starting, that sort of thing, and any of the gauges. And then storage in the corner and the side over here. Then they did incorporate a couple of stainless steel cup holders off over there. And then they have this pivotable table, and the table can rotate 360. There is cup holders in each end. And that table does come off, and the leg can come off also.
Okay.
And that benefit, if you didn't need the table,
they have more room. Yeah. Now, there are some speakers underneath this area, too.
Yep, actually on the front behind you there is a speaker, and again, that's lighted speaker like the rest, and then they do put another speaker here in the end, just below a handle, and that handle is just, if the person's sitting here, they have a spot to grab.
Okay.
You know, for seating.
Depending on how you're driving.
Correct, yep.
And then, of course, you have the nice gate, which I love that angled.
Yep, and that just creates a lot of room, even getting on and off the reloading ladder, which we talked about earlier.
And it's reinforced with those plates again.
Yep, and you can see them.
Doors have
you can see them in both spots. Yep, and again, that stopper. So nice features.
Very nice. All right, well, let's talk about the Bimin top for a minute.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So Montego Bay pontoons come standard with a Bimini. Okay. On the 20-foot units, they're a 9-foot Bimini in the open position.
Okay.
We're displaying it in the open position, but they do fold to the back.
Okay.
And they have 2 positions when they're folded to the rear. They have driving position, travel position, whatever people want to call it.
Okay.
And then they come with a sock, and that sock actually zips over the top of the Bimini to protect the fabric and keep it all tight. But a couple of cool features on them. They're an aluminum square frame.
Okay.
Bimini.
That's pretty beefy.
Yeah, it is. They're very tough, very thick aluminum. They use stainless steel latches. They're quick latches, so they're just that easy to come on and off. Another one of the really cool features about them is this quick release. So you'll notice that I can't get it down to here, but if I just squeeze this little piece, all of a sudden, click, it's into place. The neat part about that is Biminis need to be pulled tight. So because of this latch, you can actually grab right here, and you can pull it into place.
It's like a ratchet.
Yeah, it is a ratchet. And that ratchet then allows this to stay tight. And then in the back of me, you can see the V frame, and you can see the shorter arm and stuff for storage.
Yeah,
so
that is really neat. I mean, that is some of those things, because putting up and down a Bimini, depending on your pontoon, if you're like me, sometimes you just don't bother.
Right,
because it's too much of a pain.
Yep. And with that, we're not tall guys, but you get somebody that's 6 feet tall and can reach all that. It's easier for them. Somebody like myself that's short, sometimes it's hard to be able to do that. Well, with these quick ratcheting systems, it makes it easier for all heights and ages to operate. So
it's also a nice size. I really like that.
Yep, I agree.
All right, well, time to get to my favorite spot, because I love electronics. Let's talk about the dashboard and driver's area.
You got it.
I do notice you've got some nice, soft, almost like, I don't know what you call that. It's not carpet.
It's a C-Deck is actually the product. That's, again, a brand name.
Okay.
So it's a foam adhesive-backed pad. What's cool is if you're in bare feet, you can set your feet on it.
Right,
and it's soft. Yeah, not hot, soft on your feet.
Yeah.
And again, another one of those small touches that Montego Bay does.
Puts it in.
They put their logo in it. And then they put the pad in the driver's seat area.
I'm just thrilled they put it in it at all.
Yeah, pretty cool idea.
The cool logo. Okay,
yep.
So let's talk about what's on the console.
Okay, so we're going to start here. This is our radio. It is Bluetooth capable, and it does have on the outside here, there is an auxiliary and USB plug-in. So if you wanted to do, a zip drive of music or whatever you're using for music, you can do that. So then in our dash here, we have obviously the cool Montego Bay logo, but they install a fuel gauge. They have a trim gauge, a volt gauge, and they have an RPM or tachometer.
Okay.
They do offer a spot over here for a speedometer. We don't have them install them, save the customer again some money, but we can install a GPS-driven depth finder that has speed right in it, and that's the most accurate that it can be. And then we do have some customers that ask us to flush mount some depth finders. So we actually can, we remove the Montego Bay faceplate, and then we can actually flush mount a depth finder right into the dash if you wanted to. And then they do also offer tilt steering. Yep.
You've got 2 deep pockets up there, too.
Yeah, nice little storage pockets for a cell phone or whatever. If you're, put a phone in here and you cord it to your USB or for charging or whatever, you have that availability. On the other side, here we have our throttle and shift. This model does have a latchable into neutral lock. We have our tilt and trim. On this side of the seat, we have our ignition switch and our tether cord, so that if by chance you were to fall out, that it stops the engine.
Right. So tell us about all the switches on the right.
Yeah, so the first 2 switches are accessory switches. The cool part with that is if you were to add extra underwater lighting or an option or an accessory accessory inside the
Okay.
pontoon, you'd have a switch that you can hook it to. The next switch is the docking lights. Those we talked about in the beginning in the front. The next one is phone charger. The charger port is actually at the very end, just below the red horn button, which is a plug-in that you can use to USB or plug in your cell phone. The next one is the interior lights and the radio light. So that switch is kind of cool because if you push the top of it, it just turns the blue interior lights on. If you press the bottom of the switch, that turns the interior lights on and the speaker lights. So you have the ability to run either in it. And then the next switch is the anchor light. So when you press the top of the switch, you get the red and green navigation lights in the front, and you get the rear white anchor light. If you press the bottom of it, you get just the rear anchor light, which is attached to the Bimini in this case. The last switch is a master power. That master power switch shuts off all the dash power so that the battery stays good. And then actually underneath them, kind of a neat feature too, if you've ever owned a boat before, everybody had fuses.
Yes.
And then you had to carry an extra pack of fuses because you didn't know if you were going to pop the radio or the interior light fuses. In this case, they actually put circuit breakers, so you don't have to have fuses anymore. There's a little button, and if by chance that circuit were to pop, that little button comes out, and then all you do is push the button on the end and snap it back into place. No fuses needed. Very neat feature. Again, attention to detail with Montego Bay. So
that is really neat. If I'm a customer and I want to order one of these things from you, what's the turnaround time? How long do I have to wait?
We do a lot of fall, early winter, midwinter ordering so that the people have their boat their way in April so that we can put it in the water for them then. From the factory, the last few years, they were a year out. Now we're probably in that 60 to 90 day window.
Wow, that's,
max. It's really shortened
changed.
up.
Oh, yeah.
We'd love to sit down with you and build one that's yours, on your own if you want to. Otherwise, we usually have a decent selection of units here.
If you want to just buy something off the floor.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, so what is the warranty for Montego Bay for these pontoons?
Great question. So Montego Bay offers a limited lifetime warranty on the structure. Okay. So when I talk about structure, I usually use the term what's in the water. Okay. So our tubes and the structure that attaches the tubes has a limited lifetime. The reason why they call it limited is it's limited to the original owner with one transferability to a new owner. So it's limited to that scenario. So everything above the floor is a 2-year warranty. So our floor and up, our seats, our switches, that sort of thing is a 2-year. And then the engines carry their own warranty. So we're a Mercury dealer. Mercury has a 3-year warranty on their engines. And any accessories that you add on, like a depth finder or whatever, they would carry their own warranty, and each manufacturer offers their own warranty.
So we talked a little bit before we were on the transom about the different motors you could get, and right now you have it priced out for a 60 horse and a price for a 90 horse. So, and remember, this is the 2023, and we're in December. So if you're watching this video a long time after that, check the website for the most current price because they tend to go up. But currently, what are these selling for right around? If you don't want to say the exact amount, that's fine. But
I would definitely tell you to go to the website for that. The only reason why I don't want to use an exact price because their rebates are, sometimes they'll jump around. Dealer rebates jump around.
Would it be fair to say that this boat is, even with the 90 horse, is under 40,000?
Yes. Yep. You could buy this boat without a trailer with a 90 horse for under 40,000.
Right.
With a 60 horse, you'd be in the mid just below mid 30s. Right. Great value in a pontoon in a deluxe.
My point here is, if you watch our channel, we know you've seen us do some reviews on, pontoons that are, north of 100,000 and a lot that are north of 60. So when we find something that's in this category and this pricing with this quality, I mean, it's so fun to take a look at it and see what it offers. And I mean, it's an amazing boat for the price.
It is. It is.
Well, Jeremy, thank you for taking your time with us today to talk about the Montego Bay pontoon. I mean, it's amazing. Not only do you have an American-made boat, you have got a quality boat starting from underneath.
Yep.
Right, where all that structure, all those important components are. You've got different options for engines. You've got a great interior, lots of storage, at a really good price.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for taking your time with us today.
Not a problem.
We sure
appreciate the guys at Two Guys in a Ride, and keep watching their videos. They do a great job.
Well, thank you for that free advert.
No problem.
All right. And on that bombshell, thanks for watching.